I'm very excited to have our next guests on. Friend of the show, this gentleman's been on Academy nominated, award-winning nominated. I don't know.
An Academy Award nominated.
There you go. So they've been doing some great work fighting fracking. It's James Cromwell is here. Also, Pramilla Malick is here. She's the founder director of the NGO Protect Orange County, and they both recently went to jail for disobedience action protesting the CPV frack gas plant in Wawayanda, New York. Okay, so let's talk to both of them. Are they there?
Yeah, we're here.
Hi.
Oh, hi. Fantastic.
Hey, guys.
Hi, so it's great to see you again. Great to meet you, Pramilla. Now, James, can you tell us, last time we left you, you were gonna go protest. Now, it turns out that happened and you got arrested. You want to tell us about it?
No, last time he had already protested, had been arrested, was contesting the fine, would not pay the fine, and was facing jail time, and that's what we want an update on.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm.
So three of us decided not to pay the fines in order to give credence to one of the stupidest judgments that I've ever witnessed. And we were given a sentence of 7 days. They call it jail, but it's not jail, it's really a prison. It's run like a prison, looks like a prison, tastes like a prison, must be a prison. And we went for, it turned out to be 3 days. 3 days in sort of solitary confinement because we were given a tubercular test for drug-resistant tuberculosis, and you have to be in quarantine for those 3 days, which means you don't see anybody and nobody interacts with you. If you move through the cell block or if you move to the visitors area, they have to put everybody in their cells because you're poisoned. They don't do that to the guards, however, so the guards are exposed. Should I have had drug-resistant tuberculosis, they would have got it, but as the head guard said, that's what they pay you for. So evidently they pay their guards to get drug-resistant tuberculosis.
Well, okay, now, Jamie, if you could let us know, for our audience who did not see your last appearance, it's sort of coincidental that you're talking about poisoning, the risk that you might be poisoning the other inmates there, because what you were protesting was the poisoning of the air and water in Orange County. So can you tell our audience a little bit about what's going on with the plant and the natural gas plant that you were protesting and what that situation is?
Yeah, what's interesting about the plant is that they have built this plant. Not only has corruption tainted the entire process, but they have built this plant from the beginning without getting all their permits, all their ducks in a row. So they have one outstanding permit. And interestingly enough, they had the first public comment session. The plant is almost complete. It needs one more permit from the DEC, which is the state body, the Department of Environmental Conservation. And they have to grant this permit because the permit goes, the pipeline goes under waterways and will have an impact. They all have impacts and they have to have a sign off from the DEC. So they had a public comment session and we had very good turnout. We had 80 people speaking. I think 75 of them were from the community and against this project, and 5 of the most lackluster people supporting the plant itself. We have until they'll probably come up with a decision, at least by the end of August. We have a rally, a very important rally, our sort of last ask of Governor Cuomo in Albany on the 10th. There will be a rally with, and Dennis Kucinich is coming, Tim DeChristopher is coming, Bill McKibben is coming, other people. So it's a really good list of very, very important, dedicated environmentalists trying to stop an atrocity. And I hope the governor will stand up and do the right thing. That's what we're asking of him. If he wants to be a candidate for president of the United States and he wants to run and attract half or more of the Democratic Party, especially the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, he's going to have to take a principled stand on this plant and not be at the behest of this industry who has bought off so many people with their donations, their bribes, their influence, and their pressuring.
Okay, well, I'd encourage our viewers who didn't see your earlier appearance on Aggressive Progressives to go and search for it on YouTube, and you can find out all the details about this event, the protest, and why. One of the things we talked about was how Andrew Cuomo has a reputation of being very anti-fracking. He passed a law that banning fracking in New York, but
It's a moratorium.
Moratorium, excuse me, that's correct. And so what's happening is they're bringing fracked gas into New York State from neighboring states and still burning it. And then you can find out all about how the dangers of fracked gas, why this is the plant is a bad idea. But I wanted to also talk to Pramilla, and my understanding is that you got involved in this sort of activism because of a similar plant that was going up in not near your neighborhood in upstate New York, and you fought it for 5 years, and it's still, and that experience really opened your eyes about what was going on with these major multinational corporations and how they were going to exploit the state of New York and sacrifice the health of the people of New York and the children especially. Can you give us a little background on your experience and what happened there?
So I am from the community of Minisink, which is about 8 miles from this power plant. And we had a compressor station that was built in our community a couple of years ago. It turns out that that was actually built for this power plant. So when you approve a fracked gas power plant or any quote unquote natural gas power plant, we hate to call it natural because there's nothing natural about it, but you necessitate a lot of infrastructure, a vast network of infrastructure that's really spread everywhere from the extraction to the final consumption end. And it requires hundreds of miles of pipeline, metering stations every 10 miles, and compressor stations every 40 to 100 miles. But in our case, we had this compressor station built despite the fact that they already have other compressor stations along that main interstate pipeline. It's the Millennium Pipeline. So we were very suspicious as to why they needed it at that time when they already had others along their network. Well, it turns out they needed it for this power plant. There is so many contaminants in fracked gas that they need to have compressor stations to clean out and clear out the gas and repressurize it just before it goes into a power plant turbines. In 2010, there was a massive explosion of a gas plant in Middletown, Connecticut, and they discovered that it was the contaminants that had gummed up the turbines that caused that massive explosion, along with venting events, along with a plume of methane that was ignited by a spark at that power plant. Now, 2010 is around the time that fracked gas began to hit the market. But that's when they realized that they can't have a compressor station right next to a power plant and decided that they had to move it a couple of miles away. Compressor stations routinely vent methane gas along with all of the co-contaminants in it because whenever the pressure reaches too high, they have to release it, otherwise the pipeline explodes. And that's what we're seeing health impacts from, is really from those venting events. And it's the same reason you had tremendous number of health impacts in Aliso Canyon when there was that large methane release of that storage facility. And this is why you see similar health impacts around compressor stations around the country, really, but especially those that are close to or transport fracked gas directly from the fracked shale fields.
Hey, MSNBC just hired Megyn Kelly to make sure Santa Claus stays white. If you're sick of that kind of bullshit lefty corporatism from the news, support aggressive progressives right here at the Young Turks Network. You become a member for $10 a month. It gets you access to the whole show. We do an hour every week, and it gets you access to all the other member benefits at the Young Turks. Stick your thumb in the eye of the corporate news and become a member of TYT Network. Go to tytnetwork.com/join and find out what it's all about.